everyone. Welcome to Wild on Design, a webcast series produced by the Pacific Design Center. I'm the host, Jennifer Convey, and today we have another exciting episode with two very esteemed guests. First is Jobi Blachy was born into the furniture industry, and he has passionately pursued excellence in the industry for over 25 years. Jobi graduated from the University of Cincinnati and earned an MBA from the Kellogg Graduate School of Management from Northwestern University. Blachy's drive and obsession for operations and customer service led him to hold an executive position with many notable luxury furniture manufacturers. In November 2014, Jobi purchased Quintus, fulfilling a dream of owning a luxury brand in the design industry. Quintus embodies the union of the finest materials, unique design, and bespoke craftsmanship to create a sophisticated aesthetic enriched by unwavering customer care. Since his acquisition, the revitalized brand has launched numerous new furniture collections designed by Alyssa Carlucci and Roger P. Thomas. In 2020, Quintus opened a new 16,000 square foot showroom they doubled their footprint at the Pacific Design Center. This showroom not only features Quintus, but also an array of highly skilled artists and partners in lighting, textiles, art, and accessories. Quintus is available through their Los Angeles showroom within the Pacific Design Center, as well as premier designer showrooms nationwide. Welcome, Jobi. Hi, how are you?
Hi, wonderful. Thanks so much for having us today. We appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you both on today. Wow, gorgeous. You're in your showroom right now, aren't you?
I am. I'm in our beautiful new showroom that just opened at the Pacific Design Center in October and have Roger's amazing new Raggio bed design sitting over my left shoulder.
Oh, we're going to get all into it. Okay, let me bring Roger on. And we have partner at Quintus, Roger Thomas, one of the world's most influential interior designers. He's the visionary behind iconic properties for the Wynn Hotels and Resorts as the executive vice president and design and development, as well as the founder of the Roger Thomas Collection. Award-winning products in the Roger Thomas Collection available through a carefully curated group of manufacturing partners adds flourishes of beauty and opulence to interiors around the world. Thomas has been elected 5 times to the Architectural Digest AD 100 and was inducted into the Interior Design Hall of Fame in 2015. He is a newly appointed member of the Italian Board of Directors of Venetian Heritage, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving Venice's cultural legacy. Thomas helped shape modern Las Vegas in a long partnership with the resort impresario Steve Wynn. The first Wynn-branded property opened in 2005 in Las Vegas. Roger Thomas received a BFA in art history from Tufts University and the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, as well as an honorary master's degree from the Interior Design Institute. Born in Salt Lake City and a longtime Las Vegas resident, Thomas travels widely with favored retreats in the coastal hills north of San Francisco and along the canals of Venice. Here he is today, and we're so thrilled to have you. Welcome, Roger. Hi.
Hi, it's good to see you. Thanks for letting me call in from Italy.
Oh my gosh, I was going to ask you where you are. Italy. Where in Italy?
I'm at my home in Venice on the Grand Canal.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So we're morning here and you're nighttime there.
We are. It's very dark. If I have background noise, it's the Vaporetto.
Oh my. Okay, well, we'll allow that. That sounds lovely. Have you been there through all these crazy times? This COVID, the quarantine?
I was here for the full time of the initial lockdown for almost 6 months. And then I came back for kind of lockdown number 2. And I've been here since October.
Nice. I think I could do lockdown in Venice much better.
It's magnificent. It was the perfect place to be in lockdown. And it was 2 months after I retired from my very demanding day job. So now all I have to do is imagine beautiful things and draw them in my sketchbook.
Well, we know you do that and you will always continue to do this. Okay, so the two of you, let's talk about, you have this wonderful friendship and partnership in Quintus, and you've actually known each other for many, many years. So if you would just share the story of how you each meet. You might have two versions of it, each of you. So Jobi, you want to start? How did this all come to be, you and Roger? How'd you meet?
Sure. I was president of a furniture company on the East Coast, and the owner of the company said that we were going to be doing this collection with Roger Thomas. And truthfully, I'd had minimal exposure to hospitality design in my career up until that point, and I had no idea who Roger was. And I said, okay, great, sounds good. He said, we're going to go to Vegas and meet Roger. And so I was on my way to the airport and got a phone call from my wife that our brand new house was flooding. We had bought a 1927 home in North Carolina, and the entire house was flooding. And so I had to turn around and rush home. But I was just determined that I was going to get everything cleaned up and still get the last flight out of the night so that I could meet Roger the next day. Because I, of course, had done my research and learned everything about Roger and was so excited to meet him. And ended up making the last flight and arrived in Las Vegas very late. And the next day was my birthday, funny enough, and both significant instances in my professional career with Roger have happened on my birthday.
Lucky day.
And it was my birthday, and I walked into Roger's office, and the first thing that he showed me was his Grinnell dining chair, which was this beautiful dining chair he designed with circles in the back, and it was going to be bright orange. And I looked at it and just knew at that point that we were embarking on something that was going to be truly special. And about 10 months later, we launched his debut collection with the company in Las Vegas. And that was the beginning of our friendship.
That is incredible. It was wham, bam. You met and hit the ground running. This meant to be kismet. And your birthday is a lucky day. So then from there, and how long ago was that? That was many years ago, right?
That was about 17 years ago now, I think.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the journey from that to where you guys are today?
So we did his first collect. Oh, go ahead, Roger.
Roger, go ahead.
I was so impressed by Jobi's management of that collection process. It was my first furniture collection, one of my very first licenses. And by the time we issued it and a couple of years had gone by, I had several more licenses I participated in. But Jobi's incredible management meant that when we launched the collection, I had already approved all the prototypes in time for the final approved versions to be shown. They had all been photographed. All of the marketing materials were ready. They were printed. They were at the opening. Everything was incredibly smooth. And I anticipated that was the way all of my launches were going to be. And except for those that are managed by Jobi, none of them have gone that way. Well, a couple. No, I have had a few that were really beautifully managed. I must say that Michael Cohen at Samuel & Sons runs a similarly tight ship, as does Brad Zellickson at La Brazil. There's several other of my partners now that are really super pulled together. But I was so impressed by that, that when Jobi left that company, I said, well, if you have a pursuit in the future that you may need help with, let me know. He was just the kind of business partner I wanted to have.
Yeah, he's special. You're special, Jobi.
Oh, thanks.
No, so you were impressed, and what a great experience right off the bat, right? For your very first collection, and that stuck with you. So then one of you or both of you chime in and tell us what happened after that. What was that next opportunity?
Well, the next one happened on my birthday again, and it ended up being a tremendous learning experience for me. I was sitting with Roger and got a phone call from the Switzer family saying that William Switzer had gone into receivership. And did we know anyone that might want to try to purchase the company? And I hung up the phone with them and turned to Roger and said, do you want to buy William Switzer with me? He said, sure, let's do it. And I knew Roger had a long history with them and had purchased a lot of Switzer over the years for Wynn Properties. And unfortunately, that deal ended up falling through the day before closing, our choice to walk away. And at that point, Roger said, if anything comes up in the future, let me know. And so, 4 or 5 years later, I purchased Quintus, and about 6 months after that, Roger and I were speaking on the phone one day and talking about the company and the growth opportunities. And he asked if I'd be interested in having a partner in the business. And so we started our journey together about 8 years ago. This spring will be when we forged our partnership and started the journey together with Quintus, which has been just an amazing 7.5 years now, or 8 years now since we started that.
That is what an extraordinary story. I just love how it took a few tries, but you guys knew you had something that worked. And you have
wonderful.
Huh?
Sorry, and what's wonderful about it with Roger, since he understands the industry and has been around the industry so long, it's different than having an investor, like private equity or someone from outside the industry that doesn't understand the pace of how things occur in our business. Right. Our business is not a fast growing industry necessarily. Things tend to move a little bit slower. And so he's been very patient over the last 8 years, and everything has finally kind of kicked in over the last few years. And we've really gotten our legs under us and have started to, massively grow and expand the last few years, which has been truly exciting.
Very exciting. And boy, have you, just absolutely stunning. So it seems like just a perfect partnership. You each have your strengths, and it seems to just be a wonderful melding of success, really. I recently visited the showroom and saw you, Jobi, there because you had just moved in, and it was just stunning. It's just, the word is stunning. From the minute I walked in, the lighting, the furniture, the whole layout, just every attention to detail. It was like being welcomed into this grand estate. And it was just so well thought out. And sure enough, you went through the process of what you did to create that showroom and make it so special. Even just the fabric displays, and not just, but I mean, it's so important when you have clients and designers to come in there that it's easy and it flows. If you would tell us, because I know it was no accident, that a lot of great detail and thought went into the layout and the things you wanted to address in this beautiful showroom.
First of all, in the 8 years that we've been partners, I first knew that if Quintus ever failed, it would not be because Jobi failed, it would be because the world failed. So I've had total confidence in everything Jobi has done. We have had one disagreement in 8 years. It was over the location of a small sign. So I think we can survive that really easily and move on. And we were both at the end of the installation of the showroom, the very end. We'd had days of details and agreeing on everything. And Jobi had most of the innovative ideas for the showroom. He is a student of human behavior, and particularly the way designers behave. I knew how I like to use a showroom. Mm-hmm. A lot of the way I use showrooms was steeped in the history of using showrooms. I've been using them for 50 years by the time this showroom came up. But the way that the fabrics are displayed was a result of Jobi doing research with many other designers, many who had not been using showrooms as long as I had, and with speaking with each one of his textile artisan partners about their thoughts and their preferences. And so instead of designing a showroom, because of that very intelligent research, instead of designing a showroom where everybody displays the same way, which is the usual way, our showroom is curated for each collection. Each collection is shown the way that textile partner likes best to sample their fabrics. In some cases, Jobi suggested it. And Jobi also shared the research of all of our design clients' preferences with all of our textile partners. So it became a very dynamic and different container for the fabrics, and therefore much easier to use. One of the things I wanted was to have comfortable furniture in the textile room, so that if a client is with a guest, the guest isn't trying to cast about for where, after standing for 4 hours with the designer in other showrooms going through wings, where they can sit and rest their feet for a minute and still have view of the designer that they're working with. And I think that we were able to accomplish all of those objectives.
So amazing, the thought to detail and consideration for all those things, as you both would know from your research and experience. A little detail about what exactly you did do that was different. Let's talk about the fabric sample wings. I know, Jobi, you took me through that. It was just this little bit big thing that makes a big difference. If you would, just a couple details on those kinds of particulars that were well thought out.
Sure. I mean, obviously, working with someone like Roger to design the entire space, for me, doing a 6,100 square foot showroom was completely exhausting. And after that week of installation, I was about to fall over. And then I looked at Roger and said, "How did you do million square foot hotels and survive this long? I just can't imagine what that was like." I was literally about to pull every hair out by the end of that week. But at the beginning stage of the process, I told Roger the most important thing to me is I want to make sure that every detail we put in the showroom is thoughtful and that our showroom stands out and is different from every other showroom in the building. In addition to having research and speaking with other designers, one of the most interesting things I did was I brought our furniture engineer from the factory who had worked in the contract side of the industry for years and has a very, very good detailed eye. And I walked him through about 10 showrooms at the PDC. And I said, "Tell me what you think." And he said, "Half of them, I felt like I was walking into a dentist's office. It was just, stale and cold. The lighting was cold. There wasn't a warmth to it." And he used that word warmth quite a few times. And so that's something that Roger and I really focused on, was that everything in the showroom we wanted to be thoughtful and have a warmth to it. And so the detail that you're referring to is we even went down to the level of detail where all of our wings, all of our flats for wallpaper display, even the rods where we hang fabrics, were all powder coated in a warmer color as opposed to that kind of stale, ugly white, which is what most wings and baton displays are in most showrooms. And so we just wanted every single detail down to that level. And so when designers walk in, they just feel they can walk into our textile area and just kind of take a breath. And it just feels it's open. It's not a bunch of rows and aisles where you're kind of stuck in between a bunch of fabrics. And it just has a really nice warmth to it.
Yeah. And so, and they're smaller too. You're not like, as a woman trying to wrestle with those and push them back. It's like, it's a workout.
Yeah. And so that was a case where we took the best of what we had seen in some other showrooms. So there was a showroom here in the PDC that had closed, and we were able to acquire their batons. And then we did the new coloration to them. And it just all kind of came together in a way that the showroom truly feels different when you walk in. It doesn't feel, like every other showroom in the building or
not
anywhere
at all.
in the country.
No, like I wanted to stay for a very long time.
It's a real point of pride for us, for sure.
We wanted every point, everywhere you looked, every focal point, every detail to elicit possibilities for the designer, possibilities for the client, something that might actually work in their own job or their own home. So comfort was also an enormous one of our, a really important one of our foci for the room.
Fabulous.
Everything sit beautifully so that lounge chairs are with the same seat height are positioned with sofas, rather than a lounge chair where someone sits in an imperial elevated position and someone on the sofa feels like
elevated position,
like they're lower.
I want to get into process of design. Roger, Jobi, what is your process? We're talking about, chairs and dining chairs and the challenges with, all that goes into the engineering and the aesthetics and comfort being the subject. So Roger, if you would tell us a little bit about your process for design and how does this work with both of you when you introduce each of the pieces that you have today and moving forward?
Well, I travel the world constantly, both because I love to travel and see beautiful things, but also because I am a student. My training in design was not training in design. I am an art historian by training. I had never studied interior design when I started it 50 years ago, but it was something that I seemed to know how to do, and it was a much younger industry with fewer dynamics and technicalities at the time. And so that's the reason I travel. And when I travel and I am inspired, with a new idea. I draw every single idea I have in a sketchbook I travel with. This sketchbook has been with me for this particular single one with its inserts for over 25 years.
Wow.
So I go away from the inspiration. I think about it a bit, usually at lunch after having visited a museum, a stately home, a great part of a city, and I do a quick sketch of what I'm inspired. And I may not need that sketch. It could be a sketch on one page of a corner detail of a molding, and on the next page, it's a dining chair, and on the next page, it's a tissue box, and on the next page, it's a dining table. It's just whatever I'm inspired to do. And then when I need an idea, I can look back through those volumes of design books.
You must have volumes and volumes of design books. You've been doing this.
I'm on book.
Did you say 50 years? Did you say 50? 50 years?
Yes. I started in the industry 50 years ago in Los Angeles.
When you were in grade school?
My first job was, I was 16 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Newport Beach to Beverly Hills every single day, round trip, to work for an interior design company.
You're amazing. That's amazing. I want to talk about these designs. So let's talk about dining chairs, the incredible bed set that we see behind you, Jobi. Let's talk about some of these elements in the process that went into this. So Jobi, I imagine you see Roger's sketches and it starts with that, or does it start with you? It's a conversation. Let's go into some of these details of designs that you have.
So it's a little bit of both. So I'll sometimes come to Roger and say, Roger, we really need some new lounge chairs, or we need another dining table. Or I'll come to him from a merchandising perspective and say, these are some of the voids that I see in the collection right now. These are things designers have been looking for, or things I've been seeing from other brands we have in the showroom that have really been doing well lately, and we may want to consider something in that category. And then he'll literally go to the drawing board or to his drawing book and start drawing ideas for me. And then other times, like this week, as an example, I woke up on Wednesday morning to 7 or 8 emails from Roger with a flurry of new design ideas that he had sent. And I mean, talk about an amazing way to wake up in the morning.
Yeah,
something like that.
I wouldn't mind.
To you. And his drawings are just extraordinary. He held his book up for a moment for you real quickly. And I know some of them are going to be going through in the images.
We're seeing some.
As we're doing this, but they're just absolutely, the detail that goes into them is just exceptional. So the bed that's behind me started with him drawing the nightstand. And it was one of my favorite pieces he's ever drawn for us. It's the Raggio Nightstand. And I said, it'd be amazing if we could do a bed to go with that. And then he came back to me with this whole, wall bed unit concept with the wings on the end that wrap around the nightstand and curve. And I'll let Roger explain all the details that go into that, but that's kind of how we'll work. And then we take his drawings and then we start engineering them on our end. So we'll go through and say, all right, so for this year, we're going to try to go forward with these 8 or 9 designs. And then we'll start engineering them in CAD, and then we'll start prototyping them. And I'd say 85 to 90% of them end up making it into the collection. But sometimes we'll have a piece where, with all of his wonderful design idea and all of our best intentions of trying to bring it to market, we just look at it and say, it's not something we can really execute and have it turn out the way that we want it to turn out. And we had a piece like that with the fall collection that ended up not making it at this point, but we'll go back and try to reinvent it maybe in another way so that we can bring it in at another time. It's just a constant give and take back and forth that we have. And now with the engineering team that we've been able to develop the last year out at our new workshop, that's helped us to be able to work through things faster. And with having our own workshop now, we're going to be able to bring them to market faster as well, which is
that's great
this year and going forward.
I'd like to hear about designing the perfect dining chair for comfort, aesthetics. I know you guys have a system, like a sit test or something. Anyway, please expand upon this, Roger.
I think good dining chairs for contemporary society need to be comfortable for 3 to 4 hours. If you're at a really good dinner party and the conversation is stimulating and the food is good, you're going to be at that table for a very long time. And that was the goal of a dining chair collection I did, as well as the one that Elisa Carlucci did, We wanted them to be incredibly comfortable. They have to be easy to move for a hostess to pull out to get in so that she doesn't look like she's struggling with her own dining chair. There's a lot of considerations. You know, Mies van der Rohe said skyscrapers are easy and chairs are difficult, and he was absolutely right.
Wow.
So we do a sketch of the chair. We use our best expertise at getting the depth, the width, the pitch, everything absolutely correct in the chair. Jobi pays attention to every single little detail. I love metal sabots and connection details that are a bit challenging, and the way upholstery is put on it. And so we make the first prototype. Everyone sits in it. Big, small, old, young, tall, short. Everyone sits in it for a while. And we want to know
where, like,
for,
are you enlisting family, friends, factory for hours?
Well, certainly everybody at the factory sits in it. And yes, I mean, whoever comes to the prototype look with me, it might be my husband, it might be my daughter. Yes, everybody tries it. And trust me, you ask someone a comment about it, how does that chair feel? They'll give you one. So,
oh, that's great. Now, I would do that if there was dinner and a wine involved. I mean, who's going to turn down that?
Invited.
So
I'm volunteering to be a guinea pig for that test.
Long and hard. Often it can be over a month of sit testing and revisions. Sometimes the revisions are small. Sometimes the revisions are major.
A month would be an easy change. I mean, some of them it's 2 or 3 months and 7 versions of the dining chair before you get it right. And we've purposefully from the beginning made dining chairs an important part of an important design category for the company, because to Roger's point, they are so difficult to make that designers typically don't want to try to design their own. They're just too difficult and too complicated and take too much time to get the pitch right and to get the lumbar and the back, inside back correct, which is something I really focus on because I always have a sore lower back. And so I always like to have really nice lumbar.
It's really hard to find great, beautiful, comfortable dining chairs. I know you're absolutely right. I mean, we know there's so many out there, but no, to find all those things together, and it's such a statement, you know, and it's so necessary. And boy, that's extraordinary. Your process is extraordinary. Both of you, I want to hear from both of you on what sets Quintus above and beyond the rest, because let's face it, you've set the bar really high. That's extraordinary. What do you think sets Quintus apart?
From a design standpoint, every piece is designed with exceptional quality and comfort. It is designed and manufactured with that same quality so that it can become something that is inherited rather than disposed of. We never think of our designs, our furniture as being something that is on trend. It is classic.
Nice. So these are heirloom pieces you're creating. That's the goal.
Tomorrow's antiques. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, that is incredible and very extraordinary. You don't hear that very often. No, you do it beautifully. Jobi, your thoughts? What sets Quintus apart? How are you different?
We will always lead with great design, to Roger's point. But where my focus is, and this is kind of the nerdy business side of me, I guess, is I'm always focused on the back end and the service and the manufacturing side of it. And so I've had this vision for the last 8 years with the company that we want to be the easiest company in the industry for designers to work with. And it's had its ebbs and flows and ups and downs. It's difficult when you're relying on other people to do your manufacturing, and we were outsourcing all of our manufacturing. So smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, the first year, we decided to vertically integrate, and we took over a 16,000 square foot furniture factory here in Los Angeles. And we've been slowly insourcing all of our manufacturing for the last year and a half. We just completely reset our entire cabinet shop over the recent holiday break. We've been buying all new equipment and machinery. We're doing all of our finishing in-house and all of our upholstery in-house. And, you know, with the unfortunate demise of some wonderful companies in our industry over the last few years, it's enabled us to pull some of the best talent in the industry to now be part of our team. And so our finishers are some of the finest finishers in the world that are working for us. Our cabinet makers and upholsterers are some of the finest upholsterers and cabinet makers in the world. And so it's producing the level of quality that Roger's talking about. But now our goal is to try to condense our lead times and offer a better level of service and a faster service than what other companies are offering in the industry as well. So that control is something that was very important to me. And it's something that we're really going to be able to leverage as we move forward now.
Right. Well, controlling all of that and keeping it in-house, quality control, delivery control, design control, all of that is huge, because we all know the stories and what we've been through, certainly right now in these times. Yes, Roger.
An important point that Jobi said was we attract and retain the very finest craftsmen.
Yes.
The finest design requires the finest craftsman, and Jobi is really good at finding and retaining the very best craftsmen in the industry.
Well, bravo. And it definitely shows. We definitely see it and enjoy it. I would love to know what your thoughts are. This is so timely that you did this during this crazy time of the pandemic. And of course, it's everybody else's pain points, right? Delivery, getting things. Just the basic stuff you've sort of solved. What are your thoughts about transparency in the industry today?
Well, obviously, to your point, it's a very trending topic at the moment. And I think, my impression is that the industry is moving in the right direction at this point. I think the days of pricing being hidden and sources being hidden, with the internet have just disappeared, because any end user or client can now log on and find any information that they want to find. One way or another, they can figure it out. And so we are taking a much more transparent approach with having pricing in the showroom and the way that we share that on the website. The same thing, and we're going to be launching a new website later this year that will even give more access to information.
That's fantastic.
One of the most impressive experiences my clients have had recently was when Jobi photographed their project in the bare frame as it was set up for the basic upholstery, the muslin, as the fabric was being cut, the fabric going onto it. Both the designer and the client got to follow the progress in real time. It was absolutely genius, because clients want as much information as designers want.
That's right. So they get to see, they must have loved it, right? They got to see the whole process. They know what the materials are, what's going into it, which you don't know from most.
It also has their ownership in their objects, in their sofas and chairs, so much more. They watched them being created. It was genius.
Very smart. Wow. Are you doing that for everybody?
We do different stages and do different things. We have clients that come out and tour the workshop now. And now that we have our own workshop, we can do that. So many brands outsource their production and can't have people come out and see, the product actually being made. So it enables us to really do that. I have a vision for the future where we have little photo studios set up between each step, and then we photograph the pieces as they're going through production, load it up to our website, and then they can log in and see the progress of their pieces at any time. So that's in my future view, my 3-year vision for the company, but we're not doing it yet.
It's brilliant, though. I'm telling you, everyone will copy you. This is a brilliant thing. It will catch on like wildfire. Well, Quintus shows you every step of the way. I want to ask you about... Cut
it out of this podcast then, so nobody knows that we're doing it. We can't let our secret out.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
That out. So one of the trends I see definitely happening more often, and probably going to be the new way, is transparency with showrooms and designers, and how designers operate with their clients. It's taken some time for the shift to happen, but in the way they're paid and so forth. Would either of you like to expand about that and your experience in Quintus and how you guys approach that?
Sure.
Well, from a design standpoint, they need to have an absolutely clear understanding with their client about exactly how they're being paid. And that needs to be signed by both parties so that there are no arguments down the line. You're trying to form a really close relationship, and having those business problems interfere with it is not conducive. It needs to be taken care of at the very beginning.
So
and then
ironclad contracts signed, everybody knows.
Clear, ironclad contracts that are agreed to by both designer and client.
Absolutely.
And we certainly see that with our clients coming into the showroom. And as a result, we're displaying net pricing in our showroom now. We feel that, a majority of our clients are coming in, being completely transparent with their customers, and the days of 510 codes and things like that are just going to the wayside now. It's a waste of everyone's time, quite frankly. And so we're trying to make it as easy for them to shop, but we always have a conversation with our clients, particularly if they're coming in with their end user client, and say, how do you want us to discuss pricing? How are you handling that with your customer? And then we make sure that we accommodate them for however they need it handled while they're here with us.
Very often they're using their own credit cards. The clients are using their own credit cards because they want the mileage and the points and so forth. So yeah, I see this as a trend. It's easier for everyone. Remember, it used to be such a proprietary business, secret handshakes. You can't know the real price of anything. And those days are gone, thankfully.
Almost.
So I want to ask you about, we're in California, you manufacture here in California, in Los Angeles, and we have some of the strictest laws and guidelines for sustainability and so forth. So I'd love to know, what's Quintus' approach to sustainability? How is it incorporated into the business and design and manufacturing? We already know that you create heirloom pieces, so that's sustainable, but what about all the rest? Any other points?
Well, to your point, a lot of it is forced upon us because of the guidelines and guardrails that the state and the city set for us. And some of them, are pretty easy for us to navigate and to work through. Some of them, for example, with lacquer for finishes, we used to be able to do a high gloss lacquer on a table in 2 to 3 weeks. It takes 5 to 6 weeks now because there's so many more steps and so much work that has to go into trying to get that lacquer to actually become a perfect crystal clear mirror high gloss finish. So there's some challenges with it. Most of the other materials we use in our pieces, we're using, FSC certified woods. We're using natural cotton and jute materials in our upholstery and things like that. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a strategic focus of the company from that perspective, but a lot of it is inherently because we're making heirloom product and we're using the highest quality materials possible. The things that we're using are automatically, natural materials and higher end materials.
Great, gorgeous. Well, and of course, you are lessening the carbon footprint by manufacturing in the same city and transportation and so forth. I would love to know from both of you, what you think the future holds, the immediate future, and what do you think is trending in the design industry?
Roger, do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first. Well, first of all, I don't really pay attention to trends because I think in the design industry, it takes so long to create something that if you are paying attention to trends and trying to stay on them, they're past you by the time you've created the object. I think that we're in a time where security and comfort are really important within the home. You need to feel safe and you need to feel very comfortable. And so everything we're designing, everything we've already designed has already paid attention to that. Right. So I think we were on trend before the pandemic. But I think in terms of supplying things now, we're very careful about the way the factory is conducted in terms of safety for our staff, the way the showroom is conducted for staff and for visitors and clients. So I think those are hyper concerns for us right now, just getting us all through this experience so that we can go on with our unmasked lives.
Well, I, for one, appreciate that. And I'm sure it's well received that you all have consideration for safety and business practices. I'm hearing in the industry that comfort, transparency, but customer service, which I know Jobi, Raggio Quintus has tenfold on that, making it so important, because we all know when that doesn't exist and how awful it is. It doesn't matter how beautiful the design is if you can't get it and you can't get to speak to someone and so forth. So you really are ahead of the game, and wishing you much continued success. And thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, Jobi, and you have a good night, Roger, in Italy. We'll see you soon. We'll come see you at Quintus in the showroom.
We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today on W.I.LD in Design. And special thank you to the Pacific Design Center. I'm Jennifer Convey. I'll see you soon.